I am going to invite up Lawrence Tolliver, who is the president of our Board of Trustees, as we move into our annual meeting. Lawrence.
Thank you, Reverend Jim, and good morning to all of you. It's wonderful for you to show up, whether in person or virtually. We certainly are happy to have you present. And the first thing we're going to do for this annual meeting of 2023 is to open the meeting with a word of prayer. And I am always delighted to invite my dear friend, Reverend Pat, to come forward and to bless this meeting. Reverend Pat?
It is a pleasure always, because one of the things that people notice about the ongoing board, even with changes every year, bringing in new energy, is we are truly one. We are truly one at the heart level, at the mind level, and at the love of unity of Charlotte. So just take a breath and know that the energy in this room and spread through our virtual community as well is solid, is beautiful. It is truly part of the presence and the power that works in and through all of us here at Unity of Charlotte and through all of human life. My thoughts are directed towards the divine as I speak in confidence and in thanksgiving, considering all of the events in the history of Unity of Charlotte and even this beautiful, wonderful day as we celebrate all of the accomplishments that we have experienced. And we've experienced these because we do think and pray and love and do through the principles of unity. And that is why we are in such a vibrant place today. So thank you, God, for expressing through the Unity of Charlotte community, for manifesting all of these blessings through us into our experience. We are truly blessed and truly honored that we are part of this vibrant community. We know that today this is a marvelous meeting, that the inner resources of spirit are here working through each and every one of us. We are increasingly alive and vibrant. We celebrate, we are blessed, and we are grateful. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you so much, Reverend Pat. Reverend Pat served in this past year, 2022. She served as our secretary. She and I had a deal. I told her the only way she could nominate me to be president of the board would be if she served as the secretary. So she said yes, and I'm so thankful for her. I want to also introduce other members of our Board of Trustees. They are present. Our Vice President is Mr. Michael Brown, and he has been a steady force of energy within our trustee board. Also, I want to acknowledge and thank Chandan Singh for serving a second or maybe third year as treasurer of our Board of Trustees. And I want to thank Barbara Rolfe, who is, I think, in her third year of service or fourth. And Barbara has provided great leadership. She's our in-house metaphysician, and I rely on her for that, and she knows I do. In addition, I want to acknowledge Mike Barton, and Mike brings certain very good skills to the task that has been before us, and we thank you for your excellent service, Mike. And a person that just walked in, who is one of the members from the Board of Trustees in 2022 is Maria Malave. And Maria has provided, she is our champion for youth education. And she brings a wonderful, joyful spirit to our board. So with that, I need to begin to get into the president's report. And with so many talented people available to me on the board, people who came to every meeting and participated with their hearts and their minds fully. It has been a challenging 1 year, but also a fulfilling 1 year. And I do want to be able to tell you our accomplishments. For one, we sustained our Sunday services due in great measure to the dedication and service of our in-house producer, Mr. Alan Batten, who is outstanding gentleman. He has an iron will, and he had been present and to produce our Sunday services every Sunday since 2013. That deserves a standing ovation. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. How about that for an octogenarian? Well, not only Alan, but Pat Dre, Michael Brown, Gil, we're all the way in the back, and I didn't acknowledge that Gil is one of our board members, and please forgive me for jumping ahead, Gil. But Gil and his son, Brandon, were a part of our Sunday services, and Maria also did some platform work with and for us, as well as yours truly. The services of our church choir were sustained the entire year due to the dedication of our music director, Mr. Greg James, also Barbara Wolf and Brenda Duffy, who is not present, but Sue and Chris are, and they were steady and dedicated members of our choir. And Don and Randy, a couple who are not present today, I do want you to keep them in prayer and know their wholeness. Please do that for Don and for Randy. Both of them will benefit from your affirmations. And I've already said a word about the youth ed department. Maria and Brenda taught young people, children, whenever they showed up. They were present and prepared. Although we don't have as vibrant a youth ed department as we used to have, they have been excellent and on the case. Thank you for that service. We also did something pretty extraordinary with respect to our budget for 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, we did not live up to the budget. We spent tens of thousands of dollars less than we said we were going to spend. So someone else will bring forth the details of that remarkable achievement. And I also want to, just acknowledge that the Finance Committee said grace over our finances on a monthly basis. They did not skip a meeting. And Shandon, Michael, Reverend Pat, and Alan served diligently to help us come out with a positive result in our finances in 2022. We also continued an array of classes, and we also want to note that the Belmont Study Group, the Belmont Unity Study Group, sustained its activities, and they have been ongoing for more than 20 years. They just have been outstanding, reaching out and sharing our teaching with others. So thank you very much, Margaret, for your work as well, you know, as your husband and your mother. It's been beautiful. Thank you all. And we'll have a fuller report about our classes and programs shortly when Barbara comes forward. We also had a successful year with our search committee. The search committee under the leadership of Fred Monroe, and there is Fred right there. and that was a multi-year service on his part, and his guidance in helping us to stay on track to implement the procedures that we put in place. And he provided great leadership. And I want you to know that he has as much to do with the conclusion we arrived at as anyone on the board. So we had a historic Zoom meeting on a Friday morning in July of 2022, July the 29th. And at that Zoom meeting, the Board of Trustees voted unanimously to call Reverend Jim and Reverend Lisa to be our senior ministers. I remember that experience. I was just as happy as I could be that we made the right decision. Don't you agree? And then we're now to another really historic situation. I had reached out to the men's group through Michael Brown to assist with us identifying a facility that could accommodate all of our activities throughout every week. And I joined in that effort, and so did Jim and Josie Murray. I think they deserve some thanks for helping us. They helped us to look at facilities on Westinghouse Boulevard and all of Arrowwood Road. And I just want you to know that we have come to acceptable terms, and the terms with a congregation on Ray Road, and that is Wesley United Methodist Church. So you see the photo on the screen of that facility. It is a full facility. Our board members have met there, and we have toured the facility, and we have spoken with the person who is the president of their elders. And we have also spoken with other members of their board of trustees. And we have come to a verbal agreement. On this coming Tuesday, we will go there again with Reverend Lisa and Reverend Jim, and we will be much more specific about those terms, and we will be able, we are looking forward to having our April 2nd service at Wesley United Methodist Church. If you feel good about that, sound like it, yes. Yeah, it was an important thing for us to be able to negotiate a time of service that was much more compatible with our tradition here at Unity. And we were successful, and we will now be able to start our services at noon every Sunday. How do you like them apples? Well, it's been an honor to work with such a successful group. And I do want to put all of our members on notice that you may be called on to help us to move out of here on March the 31st. You may be asked to step up and help just a bit. But we won't overburden any one of you. But when we do ask, this is the historic event for us. And we all know it is much needed. So I already am grateful for your willingness to serve in that regard. So that is your president's annual report. And I am delighted that I could share with you all of these accomplishments. And at this time, we have two others that will come up and, excuse me, there's going to be three in a row, actually. First will be our programs report by Barbara Wolf. After that, our ministers will bring forth their annual report. And then I believe Shandon and Michael will bring forth the financial report. First, Barbara Rolfe for programs.
Oh, so good to see you all. Thank you so much, everybody in every direction, for being here. Our groups are sacred mission service groups, sacred because they're oriented towards spiritual purpose and our mission. So I'm going to go really fast through this. As you can see, we have a lot of groups, and a good number of those have sustained through COVID in 2022. These are the heart of this community. The passionate care groups, prayer ministry, and the We Care group were the ones who have sustained through 2022. And I'm just going to read as much as I can and summarize so I get through this. They became organized, the We Care group became organized and were functioning through 2022, along with the prayer ministry, and Reverend Pat would receive requests and pass those along. We had an extra button that was on our website that allowed people to ask the We Care group who needed cards, calls, visits. And we thank Pat and we thank Rita Basur and Maria Malavi and Margaret Wells for being the key people on that committee, in which they relayed requests to the Compassionate Care group. The Intention Meditation group was part of the Compassionate Care Circle. And this group meditates as a subjective service in compassion and support for the church, the community, the nation, and the world. And during the last year, our focus of intention was energetic support for all those serving in any endeavor to heal and harmonize the climate on this planet. Connect groups. We had the men's group connecting 2 times a week, and that's been sustained for a lot of years now. And the purpose of the group was to provide a non-judgmental, safe place for men to talk about a range of topics and explore feelings. The book club It continued, thank you, Reverend Jim Fuller, its connection via Zoom, but did disband in 2022. Now, community building. We had our internal building and our external building. The internal group relationship, Michael Brown, will be continuing with that once we have our new space where we can gather. The external outreach, Michael and Mary Brown and Gil Spears have been continuing what used to be the Urban Ministries is now called Roof Above. And they have been serving first water, and then I believe toward August, they were able to come back with tea. And this is such a marvelous group because twice a month they meet and they talk with and commune with and give love in that service to a needy community. Belmont, the spiritual education, Course in Miracles. This has been a standard of Unity churches all over for decades. And the group that has been led with Alan Batten that group has completed their lessons and they are on the workbook. The Belmont Study Group, you covered that for me, but I'm going to correct you because they started in 1994. So they're nearly 30 years together studying with books, spiritual study with books and videos and sharing meals and holidays together. Lovely, just lovely. Dialogue is service. I facilitated that group. I look back 2017, toward the end of 2017. And through receptivity via alignment and meditation, we open to that which is higher. So we can experience, for each of us, experience his or her inherent wisdom and find within themselves that at-one-ment whereby they'll recognize the intricate unity of all life. We're halfway through our current lessons in creative thinking by Lucille Sidkrantz. Youth Ed, oh, you covered that beautifully. Thank you, Maria. But I would like to share in her focus of holding the sacred space for Youth Ed as we move into our new place. She has taken a couple courses in which she not only spoke with other Youth Ed directors and ministers as to what they're doing, what works and what doesn't, but also she took a special workshop, how to grow your chapter. And she learned the rudiments of how to use various tools of social media, website, and different events, exposing our programs to a greater and larger community. Finally, Sunday service. You covered that too, Lawrence, thank you. But if you look up there, you'll see that our faith and our strength and our love, just living our mission as the heart of this church, we carried on beautifully. And most of those slots were filled. I did want to share something in addition to what both of our wonderful new ministers, Reverend Lisa and Reverend Jim, when you said a lot of things that I had written down here too, that this is something I researched from Unity Worldwide Ministries website. And it's about what is a mission-centric church, but how do we live our mission? And this is what I read. By embodying or being your mission that leads to the doing of your purpose, the entire community embodies the fulfilled state that the mission statement describes. The mission is fulfilled via multiple avenues far beyond the Sunday gathering. And so our sacred mission service groups live on, grow, embody in love and service, and like a beautiful flower, we blossom in our inner growth. Individually, collectively, we are learning to live our mission and thereby, by the radiation of that love and energy, to serve the world.
Thank you so much, Barbara. No, someone else to do that. Look at you. Well, yeah, okay, you just want to do the work, okay. Proof, action. Okay. It is time now for our finance report. We do like the robust manner in which you covered the programs, and while I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. Excuse me, I jumped ahead. The ministers will come forward at this point for their annual report, and then Shandon Singh will come forward. Excuse me.
Thank you, thank you. I would just like to start by saying, you know, Reverend Jim and I moved here mid-November from St. Cloud, Minnesota. We have been very excited to be here, but I want to say one of the reasons that we felt so connected and made the choice, a divinely inspired choice, to come here as co-ministers and accept that offer was everything you just heard from Lawrence and Barbara. Everything they just shared. You're such a core of dedication and commitment to living this mission. We said, wow, we want to be a part of that. So here we are. So I'm going to start off and I'm going to hand it off to Reverend Jim. We've only been here since mid-November, so the things we've accomplished, we kind of bucketed into two items: connecting and uplifting. And I say uplifting in terms of just bringing a new energy and new connection to the church, because you were already moving forward, and it's impressive how well you've been continuing with your service here. Connecting, we had one-on-one meetings with all of the board members and the leaders, and we held listening circles for 3 weeks after Sunday service to hear from you what you're looking for, where are you, what are you feeling, and what do you want to happen in unity. We had a leadership circle meeting led by Barbara to bring all the leaders of these many groups together to say, where are you? What kind of support do you want? How do you want to move forward in the future? We've started pub theology and coffee with the ministers, more ways to connect at a personal level with us and us with you. That's how we build community. Also, you may not know this, but we have both been participating in the Mecklenburg Metropolitan Interfaith Network, MECMIN. And I have been participating in a couple of things there, and will continue to do that. I've met personally with LaDane, who is the executive director there. So I see lots of opportunities for us to grow through that outreach. And we also attend Unity Worldwide Ministry and Unity Southeast Regional meetings regularly. So we stay connected to what's happening in the broader Unity world and New Thought world, so that what we can bring back to you stays relevant, stays fresh, and stays lively. Uplifting, wait a minute. That is my part. I'm now going to move it to Reverend Jim. He's going to show you how we've been uplifted.
So if you see the slide, it talks about connecting. It also talks about uplifting, energizing services. What we'd like to mention is the way we have incorporated new music styles into our service. And hopefully you've enjoyed those videos. You've enjoyed those songs that we've selected as well. Adding congregational songs and that opening prayer to our service. We share that energy and love for the unity movement. We hope that you feel that as well. We were a presence in the Charlotte's Martin Luther King Walk and Wreath Lane. So that is, we consider that an uplifting piece to 2022 as well. And we come together in our conversations with our book study that we've started as well. So we're going to move into what we envision. That was 2022. What do we envision for the next year? We continue our focus on that Sunday service. We want to make this Sunday service energetic. We want to make this Sunday service one that you leave feeling uplifted, energized, and fed, spiritually fed. That is what we'd like. Live musicians, special guest speakers. We'd like to hire a music director and re-engage our choir once again. We'd like to enhance our online presence, you folks on Zoom. We'd like to grow that area as well. And meditation and healing services as well. As we move to our new space, we will have that opportunity. Like I said, meditation and healing services, as well as fellowship and food on a Sunday afternoon. More than just coffee, but truly fellowship in the way of being there. And I'm going to hand it back to Reverend Lisa.
Thank you. We are very excited about this new space because it offers us opportunities to do things we haven't been able to do here. And that's part of the excitement of hearing about that, aside from the fact we're going to be saving money too, which we'll learn more about that at the budget when we cover the budget. But the other thing we really envision for 2023 is to take the active ministry teams that are going and maybe add some more and really bring new life and energy to them and help them to grow and support them to serve our community in greater and greater ways. They've been so steadfast and committed. And so now we're looking at especially our prayer chaplain group, our youth and family ministry with Maria. We've already met. She's got some amazing ideas and a team already starting up. Technology to help us grow in the areas of social media and in how we get our service out there into the world. And continuing with our adult education, more classes, more workshops, more special events. And we'd love to hear from you. If there's something that you really would love to see, let us know because we're going to have the space to do it now. Yes. Yeah. And finally, community outreach, very important to us. Michael and Mary and Gil have already set a path for that to happen. And we're going to continue to meet with them. He's going to talk to us about a community building practice that I'm very interested in hearing about, because that's what we're all about, is building community, not just within our spiritual community. That's where it starts. But the stronger our community gets, the stronger we're able to support our broader community. And that's important to us. Also, to continue to look for interfaith, multi-faith opportunities through McMinn and special events such as fundraisers, pet blessings, interfaith and other events that we can now hold in the church where we will be. So these are a lot of our ideas and our visions for the year to come. We stand in respect and gratitude for all that you have done, this board, and the leaders and members here, of carrying this community through an incredibly challenging time. And the challenges aren't all gone, but we are moving into a year of investing. This is going to be a year of investment to grow this community and bring back that sense of thriving. So that, I believe that is it, just to say thank you, and we are excited.
Shandon Singh, the treasurer and member of the finance committee. So just to give you a little bit of background on the committee, Michael Brown, Gil, Reverend Pat, and Alan met on a monthly basis to analyze all the expenditures and provide suggestions to the board on the best use of the funds. With Alan's oversight and organization, we had a really in-depth analysis of all the accounting. He puts together, every expenditure, makes it visible, like every check that Unity writes. And, we go over all of that as well as monitor the contributions as well. So one of our objectives in 2022 was just to, with the sale of the building, was to do the best we could with the funds of the proceeds of the sale. So we opened a new account and looked for, the highest interest rated, the highest interest earning CDs that were available locally. And we, made the decision to proceed with that and, suggested to the board to make the best use of those funds. In 2022, just to get into the specific numbers, our budgeted income was $57,157, and our actual income came in at $52,713. So we were fairly close with that number. And then our budgeted expense was $166,000, and our actual was $69,000. So we had a big savings there. And part of that was obviously not having the new ministers yet, and not having a new space and a new move. But we had budgeted for those in 2022. And then our 2023 budget, just to go over the numbers, we're expecting to increase the income, and that's with the Reverend's blessings and projections and aspirations, and courage to really say that they're going to push to grow the congregation, to grow contributions, to have more meetings and workshops and opportunities for deeper growth. And then our budgeted expense for 2023 is $151,460, and that's would dip us into the reserves close to $66,000. So the Reverends talked about an investment that we had want to do this year into the community, and we've talked about this investment for a long time, since the previous minister left, which was pre-COVID. We've kind of all talked about this investment. So I feel like there was for a long time, and being a member of the board the previous year, and sitting with the board and praying and meditating with them on what the intention of that investment and how much it means to the community to continue to grow in deeper ways. I feel like it was a long time where that intention was made, and it took us a long time to find the right reverence and to move forward with that vision. But we're excited, and we have the full belief in growth going forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Shannon. And we are now at the point where we can look forward to the major activity for each of you to participate in. That activity has to do with establishing a new board of trustees. So you will have an opportunity very shortly to vote on the slate of nominees that has been put forward by our nominations committee. I'm going to, after I do something that is required by our bylaws, I'm going to ask Mike Barden to come up, and he will take you through the election process. And with the assistance of Michael Brown, so he will be supported in this endeavor. But here are the two requirements. I must read to you a few things, and I'll get started now. As to the nomination procedure, the presiding officer of the annual membership meeting shall read Article 6, Section 6.14A and 1 through 6, and Article Roman numeral 6, Sections 6.15D of these bylaws. And then I will call, after I read that, I will call Mike Barton up. The section I'm reading is entitled Nominations and Elections. A, qualifications. A candidate for the Board of Trustees or a person selected as an alternate must be a member of Unity of Charlotte as defined under section 4.01, who candidates must show a desire to serve on the board. They must endeavor to live in accord with Jesus the Christ principles of love, truth, and service as taught by Unity Worldwide Ministries. 3, the candidates must further the work of this ministry through their own active commitment, interest, love, and financial support. And I'm going to add your talents too. And those candidates must be sincere and continuing students of Unity, conversant with his teaching, who participate in Unity classes and other educational opportunities offered. Number 5, candidates have to demonstrate leadership capabilities. And 6, candidates must have been members in Unity of Charlotte for at least 6 months prior to the election and have demonstrated commitment and services to Unity of Charlotte for at least this period of time. And the final section for me to read, section 6.15D, election procedures to the Board of Trustees. The election shall be by ballot. So you will get a ballot. And if there are any partial terms to be filled, or there are more than 2 nominees, you'll be able to make your own selections. The results of the vote shall be announced today. So you won't have to wake up tomorrow to get the results. We'll take care of that today. And with that, Michael Barton is coming up here and he is going to carry us through the nomination report and the election of the new Board of Trustees for 2023. Mike and Michael. You hear me getting mixed up with that.
Good morning. It's nice to see the fronts of you folks, because I usually sit in the back. And I have a question. I look at this little riser here, and for the life of me, I can't understand how Alan Batten fell off that thing. It's so small, but you know, things happen. All right, these are our nominations for the board. Michael Brown has already served consistently and for some time on the board, but he is up for re-election. Gil Spears is a newer person, but he is up for nomination into a board position, a full-time board position. Pat Dre, right here, she has served us for a long time and is up for it again. And Martin Wells is new, and I was glad that he accepted. And of course, Jim Fuller is. Okay, he is not here. Martin Wells and Jim Fuller are the 2 people that are new to the board, but they have campaigned, if you will, on their consistency and their dedication. And so there was a special light on them, and I touched them and asked them, and they agreed. And I'm very happy they did. So these are our folks. I think it's a good board, good slate of nominees, and I think it'll serve us well as we move forward. All right. All right.
Thank you very much, Mike. Are there any other nominations for the Board of Trustees for 2023? The floor is open for any other nomination. Mr. Monroe? He has made a motion that by acclamation, we accept this slate of nominees from the nomination committee. Is there a second to that motion? Okay, and Rita Pastor has seconded that motion. And so I'm going to call, well, are there any questions about the motion? Any questions about the motion? In that case, I call for those who are in favor of accepting this slate by acclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposes nay. Hearing none, this slate of nominees is now your 2023 Board of Trustees. Give them a hand. Oh, okay. Okay. And those that are moving through to 2023, please stand where you are and just turn and face our in-person attendees. Those who are moving forward, come on, stand up. Come on. Martin, up. Yes, okay. Now, I think we've got them all. Yay. Thank you. It's nice to get 100% presence and of those new people moving forward. Now that we have done that part, we have quite a few minutes that we can open ourselves to Q&A. Any questions from those present or online? Any questions about the annual reports you heard? Any questions about the way forward that you heard? Any questions about the finance report? We're happy to entertain them. Okay, there's a question from Jim. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was not a question, that was a compliment. Yes, the people on Zoom who would like to raise a question can go to the chat portion of their screen and enter a question, and we will, again, do our very best to answer any question that you have and to entertain any comments. I will ask our technical assistants if there are any. There are none. And so we're pretty close to doing, oh, yes, ma'am, Ms. Pat.
Just clarification, all of these reports were so beautiful and so succinct. And I just wanted to give you an opportunity, Lawrence, to talk briefly for people who haven't been following this wonderful financial plan, to explain how, however you'd like to, the 66,000 that we're investing in this coming year, that we're dipping into our reserves, that how this was planned back years ago and how it fits in. I thought people might benefit from the way you dressed.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to do that. Your Board of Trustees knew that when we sold this property for almost $500,000, it would be important for us to really take care of the proceeds and to be stingy. I think that's the best way. I think we all understand that. And to also utilize the expertise on our board, and in that case, it was Chandon, to use the expertise we had to invest those funds where they had the greatest return. And as you know, interest rates were extremely low in in 2020 and 2021, and only began to go up at the end of 2022. So we prayed about it. Our intentions were clear. We knew we wanted to manifest as much of that when we came through all the transitions that we have come through. We wanted to manifest as much of it as possible so that we might have some funds to invest in regrowing our membership base. We did lose some members over the course of that time. And I'm going to take this opportunity, Reverend Pat, to just acknowledge that in 2020, Alan Batten was our president of the board. In 2021, it was Reverend Pat Dre, and 2022, it was me. And so this new board that you saw stand up will decide who is the president, who is the vice president, who is the treasurer, who is the secretary. It's up to them to make that decision, because the president is not the president of Unity of Charlotte, the president of the Board of Trustees of Unity of Charlotte. So, and the treasurer is the same. So we are careful people. And I am told that I need to underscore the location of our new facility that we will be, finalizing the details on Tuesday, actually, the 28th. We will be worshiping at 3715 Ray Road on April the 2nd. And we will prepare ourselves for a great move with your help. And we will have a joyous service on April the 2nd. And I think,
Oh, Lawrence, can I say something?
please do.
Yeah, so there's some questions in the chat box that actually didn't get acknowledged. So
Okay.
so I don't know who was monitoring it, but one said, how much is left in our reserve fund? And also I wanted to know specifically this $66,000 is going to be invested in some kind of a mutual fund or something? I'm not understanding that.
Okay, we actually set aside, in terms of your second question, we set aside a certain amount for operating, that's the operating account. So it's a specific account where we have placed funds for day-to-day expenses. And we made that decision in November, if I remember correctly. And I think we moved, what was it, 30,000? We moved 30,000 into that operating account in November so that the new Board of Trustees would not have to wrestle with it since our current board understood where we were and how we had performed. And secondly, your question about how we will continue to grow the funds we have. Well, we already made a big decision to invest over 200,000 into an account that will be generating high interest rates. And I believe it will be in May, we will have an opportunity to move that into a treasury account with even higher interest return. So we are looking forward. We are paying attention to the performance of the funds that we have available to invest. Does anybody else need to answer that question? Any more detail? Okay, are there any other questions up there, Alan? We're good. In that case, we're close to closing. this meeting out, and we're 5 minutes ahead. Isn't that terrific? All right. Excuse me, Sue? Well, at this time, the question was, what will our rent be? First, I tell you that the rent here has been $1,700 a month since we began renting, which was in 2020. In, I think, December of 2020 was the first month we paid rent here, $1,700 per month. The rent, as quoted to us by their board chair, will be $1,500 per month. And we'll have access to a lot more square footage. And we'll have our potluck lunch once a month in a very nice kitchen, very nice eating space. We have classrooms. We even have children's toy equipment, playground equipment already there. So we're in terrific shape to serve young people and children. Okay, Kay, Reverend Kay? Yes, there is a music budget. I'm sorry, I can't quote you what it is, but there has been great thought given to the hiring of a music director and to budgeting funds for guest musicians and singers and speakers. Any other question about us moving forward?